Hey everyone, and welcome to the Launch LinkedIn Live today. I'm very excited today that I have got a friend and expert, John, in the room today. So John,
Hello.
RevOps Mentor, give
Mhm.
me a little intro. And when you give me your intro, John, I want you to tell me a little hack that you've got that can help people, I don't know, get through their lives better.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, you particularly. My name's John. I have a little one-man consultancy called RevOps Mentor, and if HubSpot makes you wake up screaming, I can fix that. That's what I do. Um, uh, Primarily, it means I align marketing, sales, and customer service around unlocking profit locked in your systems and processes. Um, Jay's going to mock me for using the word align now. Uh,
I might mock you for using that, but the way I wanted to sum that up, John, is that you stop businesses from leaving money on the table, and you make them more profitable.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. Because so often marketing isn't talking to sales, sales and marketing aren't talking to customer service. And if you can get all of those three people talking and not aligned, obviously, but organized around a
Yeah.
common process, you can unlock much more value from each customer that you bring on, your existing ones and your new ones. I,
Awesome. Now, what is your hack?
my hack is, and this is a bit nerdy. I'm not normally super. I suppose I am super nerdy. But there's like an autonomous agent that you can use for your AI that will talk to you over Discord or WhatsApp or Telegram called OpenClaw. And my one, I've programmed it to send me a digest of interesting AI related stories from around the web, around AI behaving badly, really, and how we need to protect people and the planet from AI's bad things. Because one of my other hats is an AI company, and but also it helps me organise my diary. I tell it what tasks I've got and how long I think they're going to take, and I've programmed it to know that I procrastinate and that I underestimate time, and it books that the slots in my diary for me in my Google Diary. It composes emails for me, leaves them in draft. My tip is if you're going to use OpenClaw, which I really love, it's like saved me so much time this last 2 weeks. If you're going to use it, um, make sure you lock it down securely because it is. There's been a lot of bad things that it's done. If it can send emails for you, at some point someone's going to hack it and you're going to send bad things. If it can put
Mm.
things in your diary, it can send invites. That's bad news. If you're going to let it send WhatsApps, tie it right down. Tie it right down. But I program mine using Claude AI, so it helped me do that, or it did it all really. I just copied and pasted it into the other the programming screen, so it did it all for me. I just told it I needed it secure. But yeah, OpenClaw, I love it.
Brilliant. That's is an awesome tip. And for those of you who are watching for the first time today, we do these quite regularly. We like to bring on partners, bring on people who we think have got expertise that can help our audience, and we just love to share all of that. So I'm Jaye. I'm the founder of Launch. We're a paid media agency and performance marketing that helps brands grow, basically. And my hack today is I spend a lot of my time on trains. So Seatfrog, you get the first class upgrades for sometimes as little as a tenner. And there is nothing like going down to the first class carriage and thinking you've only paid a tenner for it.
Yeah,
When
that's
you've paid a
glorious.
lot of money for the standard class. I'm not saying that it's like that. So today we're talking, I find this topic completely fascinating because we obviously in performance marketing are leveraging so much the beginning, trying to get the click in the first place, trying to get the target audience to the website, to the form, to the place. And often we're not talking about the kind of stuff that happens afterwards beyond that click. So today's talk is called Beyond the Click, the FAST framework for revenue growth. And I know you've got some slides to share with us, but I quite like this sentence about it. You'll discover why handoff timing matters more than lead volume, and how to get sales properly committed to follow up. So it's all of the bits, that marketing gets frustrated with, that we're sending all of these leads, we're sending all of these clicks to the website. People are knowing what the company does, but then what happens after that, and that to me is the leaving money on the table part. So I'm going to put your slides up if that's okay, John.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Yeah, and this, Jaye, this is probably the biggest problem that is why people open the door. So one of the reasons they open the door is none of their HubSpot is working. But the other reason they open the door is either marketing are delivering crappy leads, that's how sales describe it, or you've got an active marketing team who are getting hacked off with sales because they're not following up on the leads that they're delivering. And so, yeah, and I'm really thrilled to be able to talk about it with you, because obviously launch, where you are increasingly about unifying brand and performance, it just aligns so well with, I've said a line again, it just works so well with the way that you guys work. And having been a customer in the past, I think it works really well, and hopefully your community and your customers can take something from it. But yeah, jumping in, the FAST framework is we're going to talk about getting your foundations right, getting agreement between sales and marketing right. I'm not going to talk about sales, marketing, and customer service today because we've only got half an hour, and that means we haven't got time to fix the whole revenue operations bit of your business. We're going to talk about the systems that you need in place, not necessarily the hardware and software, but like the thinking behind those. And then the one act that you can do today that will help you move stuff on. As a disclaimer, I guess I should say, unless you've got, unless you can think of anything else, this tends to work really well for B2B businesses where they're selling to other businesses, or big ticket consumer items where there's a sort of drawn out buying process. It's not a click and buy right now process. A lot of it is what we've learned from e-commerce, people getting stuff in their baskets and not converting quickly. It's great. It teaches us people in the slow world of B2B, some really good techniques. But I think this is more B2B and big ticket. Would you say that, Jaye?
Yeah, I agree. And, things, high value items like luxury watches, or where you have got a long consideration process, and there are people getting quotes and, to go through a sales process. I should also say that if anyone has got any questions, those who are watching live, please do drop them in the comments, and we monitor those. But if it is on playback that you're watching this, then I will pop up from time to time how to get in touch with Launch up there. But most importantly, how to get in touch with John, because he is the expert when it comes to HubSpot and the sales process. So do get in touch. I'll leave it up there for now, John. I'll leave it up.
Brilliant. Thanks. Brilliant. Thank you. So let's start with foundations. So first off, you need to measure the right stuff, because before you can get marketing and sales to agree on things, you need to know what's actually working. And we've all seen reports like this, right, where it's showing you how much traffic you've got to the website. Hopefully you've got reports that take you a bit beyond this. But these are always like, they're kind of last click. And, that we know that, I know there's loads of other attribution models. I can never get my head around, U versus W versus last click versus first click versus weighted. And I know there will be people on this call who know how to do that really well. But I think even that misses out one really, really key question. And also we're missing out on sort of dark social and AI answers before people then search for your brand. We're missing out on word of mouth, and we're missing out on events. And this problem is compounded when you've got something like this, where you can, I suddenly had a fear that I'd put the customer name on this somewhere, but I haven't. Phew. But yeah, this is compounded where you can measure how many people become customers down through your different channels. So like for this example, this is a real example from a real client, 31,994 sessions from direct traffic, which created nearly 1,000 contacts. Not a bad conversion rate, but it's direct traffic, so they already knew us somehow.
Yeah,
and then
they've not got server-side tracking set up, and direct obviously takes a lot of the bucket of things that are unassigned as well. So
true.
It might just be that they don't have server-side tracking, or they've got a really good cookie policy in there that is only got an opt-in rate of 55%.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Great shout. So, and as you can see, so then we've got 437 customers, new customers. This is net new in 12 months, up to January 2026, that have come from direct. Like what? They just like typed in www and then guessed, like, or we don't know where they're from. They're being misattributed, and of course, none of the platforms are going to play down how well an ads does for any of this. Any platform that gives you any metrics is always going to say ads are good, because they probably own some of the ads, particularly Google. And what's getting worse is we're feeding all of that data into AI, and and as my friend Richie says, AI's eating out the bins, because we're giving it crappy data, and it's just it's learning from imperfect data. In fact, in that example, really, really poor data, and classic old nerd phrase of garbage in, garbage out becomes the problem. So I've got one question that I believe fixes a good deal of this, and I use it with all of my clients. I learned it off a client, like so much of the stuff that we learn as agencies or consultants. You often learn some really good stuff off a client, and then you implement it better than they did. So the one question that I get salespeople to ask is, what prompted your call today? And so the reason I get them to ask that is that takes us away from quantitative data, I guess, that stuff that comes in through analytics, to qualitative data, which you can then turn back into quant that you can use to measure stuff. So this client asks that question, and then from that quality that they hear, from the qualitative data that they hear, they then decide, the salesperson then decides, is this an inbound thing? Oh, you saw a blog post, and then you've seen some stuff on LinkedIn and blah blah blah. Okay, that feels to me like that's more inbound. We saw you at Grand Expo 2025. Oh, okay, that's one of the events we went to. Or we saw you at the thing that you held at the Odeon in town when you had all of those people come along. Oh, that's one of the events that we run. So you can start to, and so this is just a drop down box. This is a HubSpot graph, but you can do it in most CRMs. Create a custom property, and you get your salespeople to ask what prompted your call. But not how did you find us? Because in the old days when I started, because I'm ancient, when we used to ask people, how did you find us? They would say the yellow pages. And I worked in a business in Portsmouth, and we sold all over the country. In fact, we sold all over the world, and everybody answered yellow pages because that was the first thing that they could think of. So don't ask them where they found you. What prompted your call? They'll tell you from a sales perspective. It's great. You get all of this really useful information about everything around their inquiry. And then somewhere in there, they'll tell you how they found out about you originally. And then you can use that to do much better qualitative and quantitative analysis at the same time. So now we can see, this is from the same client, the business that they closed from the different places. They were going to stop doing inbound because they thought events was driving it all. We asked this question for a year, and we found that they've made 272 grand worth of new business from inbound before people then came to events. Loads of people came to events on their journey, but they didn't necessarily find out about them from events. And referrals, they get loads of referrals. I mean, we know this stuff, right? But and as marketers, we know it, but it's really nice to be able to hang some data on that. So that's like one question. There are others, but that's one that I would urge you to chat to your salespeople about doing. And if we can move on to alignment, agreement rather, not alignment. I'm fixated on it because you've caught me how much I say it. But yeah, to do that, you need harmonious sales and marketing. And I liken this to, we probably all know someone who's okay at the piano, right? And by okay, I mean they can play more than the right hand, that most of us can plonk out a tune with our right hand. Maybe they can do chopsticks. That's kind of tough, but it's when they play something and their hands are going in different directions. That's kind of what sales and marketing is like for me. They both need to know what's going on. They both need to be in harmony, but they're not doing the same things. They've got different jobs. So to make it harmonious, we need to agree on what good looks like. And so most people can agree between sales and marketing what good looks like for a marketing qualified lead, for instance. And we'll explain a bit more detail if you've not come across that before, or you're a bit sketchy about it. We'll explain how that might work in a second. But what does it say? What's a good lead? Is it, you've probably got a job title. If you're job title's really good either for B2B or B2C if it's big ticket items. But maybe it's a postcode, which gives you an idea of the sort of demographic and sort of wealth of the person. Maybe if it's your B2B again, maybe you've got an ideal client profile. They've got X amount of employees. They've got X amount of revenue. They spend this amount on IT. And maybe there's behavior signals in the qualified lead, like they've visited the website 6 times. They've been to 3 events. They haven't used a contact form yet, but they're probably worth a phone call. And maybe, I mean, marketing qualified leads are also those hand raisers that go fill out the contact form and go, hey, I need help. But we can't just pass them on to sales either, because they're not marketing qualified yet. They're just people who've said they need help. So I'll jump on and quickly look at what it is that we're after. So we'll reveal what a marketing qualified lead looks like in the most nerdy of all tables that you've ever seen. Sorry about the design. But a lead, basically, I define normally as anybody who's got not a free mail, although if you're in B2C, then people will be using their free mail. So at that point, it's anybody who's got a pulse. But if we use a B2B example, it's, they're not using Google Mail or whatever, but if we're selling watches, they might be using Google Mail. The trouble is this person might have filled out your contact form and now you've unleashed sales on them, and sales have gone, well, this person hasn't got the budget. So that's not a marketing qualified lead yet or a sales qualified lead. We don't know anything about them. So it's like Goldilocks almost. This is like Baby Bear. This is too salty. That wasn't Baby Bear's problem. And if it was, Baby Bear's going to die early of a massive coronary. I've gone off a little bit. Let me come back. The other thing we do is give sales leads when the RFP comes through, like a request for quote or something like that, particularly in a B2B context. Sales don't want these either. They're third to the party. They're fifth to the party. They're in the beauty pageant of potential suppliers. So what we want to give them is the marketing qualified lead, which is, these are just right. They're qualified. So if it's a B2B, if you're selling to a business, we've got the ideal client profile turnover or head count. We've got the buyer personas department, not their name and their inside leg and where they shop, just the basics of, well, how big's the company? Do they buy our sort of stuff? And have they visited our website and come to our events? That feels to me like that's a qualified lead.
And HubSpot has now got tools, hasn't it, that can fill in missing information on that, and AI is really helping map some of that out.
Yeah, and most CRMs will have this. Will have that enrichment thing. If not, you can get it. The other way you can do it is just use progressive profiling on your website. If you can get people to fill out more than one form, rather than getting them to give you their email address again and again and again, get them to give you their email address and their job title. And then next time, ask them when they're likely to change supplier of whatever it is you sell. That kind of stuff can enrich the data as well. If we look at the marketing activity that marketing do, and then we'll look at how we align that with sales. Once they've become a lead, so this is those people who've arrived, they're no longer a click. They're someone that might be someone that we can sell to. Maybe you're retargeting, maybe you're inviting them to events, maybe you're remarketing to them to push them towards someone that you can qualify as a lead through progressive profiling, as I said, or enrichment, as you said. Have you been looking at my slides?
No, I actually, I should say I have, haven't I? I'm very prepared, but we use HubSpot obviously, and it's really, even on the freemium version or the very low pay, there's amazing enrichment you can get. And the funny thing is some of this is it should be basics, yet there are companies spending $1 million plus on media, that this link between the marketing and the sales is broken. Marketing are generating huge amounts of leads. Sales are super frustrated because they're very busy, because this little bit between the two is broken. And because it technically falls with both parties, nobody's sorting it out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I've got this. I do this with all of my clients. Often I'll put it on a whiteboard because then they pay me more money to do it. It looks like I'm doing it on the fly. But you know, this is the same for nearly every business, right? You all got something that looks like this. And so that's market. So sales's job is not to get involved when it's a lead. Don't let them near it. It'll piss them off and it'll piss off the potential buyer. Let's not do that. But their job is to really qualify those marketing leads. Anybody who says, oh, this isn't ready, I couldn't just sell to them, you're not a salesperson. Sales is qualifying and then selling the right solution or the right product. With my sales hat on, arguably as profitably as you can within your moral bounds, but that's what you've got to be doing. So we need to get a commitment from sales to say, what are you actually going to do? Once we have qualified it properly, what are you going to do? My suggestion is always do minimum of 5 phone calls, 5 emails. Call first, follow up with an email. Sorry, I missed you, because they're not picking up. Call again. Sorry, I missed you again. I left an answer phone message. Comment on their LinkedIn. Again, I'm using B2B as an example, but you can overlay B2C on this quite easily. Sales should then get these people qualified for BANT, which is the old school sales qualification from IBM. Budget, authority, need, and timescales. So do they have the right budget? You don't have to ask them what their budget is, because people go, I can't tell you what my budget is because I don't know why. In the UK, we do. If you're watching us in America, I know, mind blowing, isn't it, that we don't share that information. But in the UK, we go, oh, I can't tell you exactly what my budget is. But you can ask questions like, what would you normally spend on this sort of solution? What are you spending on your current solution? That kind of stuff. How much did you pay for this watch? That's a great watch. That's worth. Have those kinds of conversations. Finding out their authority. You know, and that's an authority group. It's not just one person who's buying. Finding out, have they genuinely got a need, or are they just finding out about us? That then becomes a sales qualified lead. If we can get them engage the bigger group, we can move to being the people who help them write the RFP. You're going to win that deal if you help them write the RFP. If you're talking to everybody in the buying group, and that might be a husband and wife, might be 2 people in a relationship, it might be if you're selling to just like a one-man business or a one-person business, excuse me, they're going to talk to their other half. They're going to talk to some advisors. You need to be talking to all of them if you're in sales. Sorry, I'm nagging sales, and they're probably not even on the call, but they need to do some stuff. But so we need to get their agreement. What you can do if you're using a desktop, go to bit.ly/Johns-matrix. That is the easiest way to get hold of this Lifecycle Stage Matrix. It's on Claude. I don't get any of your information. You build it, you keep it. It's just you and Claude. It's still, even though it's awful, it's still my favorite AI. And you can build your own version of that with your salesperson, with sales team, or you can use your phone and scan that QR code, but it's really difficult to use on your phone. Let's move on to, because I'm conscious of time, I'm going to move on to the last 2 things. So we need to build the system that's going to make that happen. Okay. How do we do that? Well, you need to figure out how you can help sales. Salespeople are simple people. All we want is a yes or a no. We just want a yes or a no. Are we moving this to the next stage, and are you eventually going to buy from me? As soon as you give me a no, great. I can drop you like a stone and start talking to someone else, because we don't care. We're almost psychopathic. We just want a yes or a no, or the best salespeople do. So we're simple. So anything that's complex, we're not going to do. Help us do it. You're in marketing. You can help us do this. I do this all the time with teams. So if you've got a CRM, you can remind the salespeople to make the calls. Worst case, you could put it in their diary when the lead comes in. You could write the follow-up emails for them in templates so that they only have to do a little bit of contextualizing. Something like HubSpot, you've got the first name, you've got the company name in there. Most salespeople stop contextualizing them because they know you've written great emails and send them right out. And you can help them by giving them good content to share on LinkedIn that enables them to think a bit more like your potential customer before they're ready to buy. So helping salespeople by giving them reminders and content is huge. And the content that you're using for sales will also work in emails as as you're moving people down the pipeline. To keep people engaged, you can use more of that marketing content, repurpose it for sales. Sales will tell you what they need. You just need to have the conversations with them. And if sales won't tell you what they need, maybe it's time you find another job or you find another sales team, because they're not into it. What ideally sales should be giving your clients homework, your potential clients homework. Get them to go away and research stuff and come back on the next sales meeting with homework. Call it homework, because if they do their homework, they're going to buy from you. If they don't do their homework, they're not an opportunity. I'm not going to go into opportunities because that's really, really salesy. But for that, the great news is now we're asking the right questions at the beginning to get our data to be able to measure what activities that marketing is doing that leads to opportunities and customers. If you're setting this up with your sales team, you need to get the marketing director or head of marketing and sales director or head of sales, having revenue growth, whatever the name is, have a conversation with them to begin, and then have weekly meetings for 2 months, because you need to hear from them what's working and what's not in the help that you want to give. And you need to give them feedback on what's working and what's not, and keep reminding them that the more useful information they can give you, the more you can turn on the taps on the stuff that generates them commission, generates them leads. This is Kaizen. Well, everybody my age has heard of it, because we were stunned that suddenly the UK didn't have a motor industry when I was a child, and Japan had all of it. And it's a business philosophy focused on making strategic change continuously and small tactical changes, and everybody has a voice from the factory floor up to the leaders, to try and reduce waste and improve efficiency. And if you're talking to your sales leaders about that as a marketing leader and thinking about how you can reduce waste and improve efficiency, and you're doing that every week for the first couple of months and every month afterwards, that's going to really transform the way that you do business. I've seen it hundreds of times. A quick example: we had marketing talk to a sales team who were pretty unengaged, about how they could help them email clients. These were existing businesses that already bought from them, and they had a service coming up, and like on a piece of machinery, and our friends in sales didn't have enough time to make all of the phone calls to these hundreds of units out in the field. So we worked with them and said, right, well, give us the price of all the servicing. We'll automate sending it to everybody, because we can see the dates when it ends up. We'll automate it to everybody. We'll send them an email when their service is due, 3 months out, then 2 months out, then 1 month out, then a week out, and then we'll give them one reminder and tell them that it's not coming. 4 or 5 emails, last one telling them that everything's going to go wrong if they don't do it. We added £700,000 turnover in service to that sales team's target in 9 months. Their stretch target for new business was 350 grand. So we more than doubled their existing target. And they didn't have to lift a finger. It was automated. So you can do this if you have the right conversations, which leads us on to comment with or write down on your notepad, if you don't want to share it with us, one thing that you'll do today that will move the business forward. Maybe it's asking your sales team to do a test of what prompted your call and just writing down the answers so that you can just start that conversation before you start fiddling around with CRMs, or book 30 minutes with the head of sales to agree on what qualified leads. But write down something, do something, because it's easy to start the change.
Do many marketing teams listen to sales calls? Because a majority of certainly large B2B and B2C, where there is a sales team involved, will be recording their calls. In advanced ones, they've got sentiment analysis. They've got, in e-commerce, we use customer reviews and customer review mining. But the sales call is like an absolute ideal breeding ground for content ideas, for hearing what your client's problems are.
Yeah, I would say no, because there's so much value to be unlocked way before that for most companies. And maybe that's my bias, because I'm only dealing with companies with relatively simplistic problems as I see them. But I've never had to get to that stage. We're making so much more money just by implementing a few simple fixes that we never get to the point of having to listen to sales calls, because they fire me. We've done the work and I'm out.
I love that. I listened to a very good podcast on uncensored CMO about why marketing leaders don't get to board level. You know, you've got revenue, normally got a sales director in there that gets promoted to CCO, or and often marketing isn't there, so they're not understanding whether they're being seen as a value driver or a cost center. And I think some of the things that you've touched on today can really help make sure that marketing and sales are aligned, so it's seen as a value creator and not just a cost center.
Yeah, and pretty soon, most people that I work with in marketing are seen as like revenue growth. You're really the head of revenue growth. You're no longer the marketing manager.
Which brings me very nicely onto the fact that that's where people can come and see you, is at our CMO's Guide to Growth for marketing teams. It's in Bristol. It's on the 12th of March. Very kindly, you guys are a sponsor, so thank you so much for that. And there'll be lots of people in the room who are there to learn about how to grow their businesses, understand what unlocks there are in marketing. We've also got Reddit coming and doing a talk, and that is really interesting. That will be interesting to see how many people are starting to get leads from Reddit, especially for big ticket items, which require a lot of research. We were talking about watches earlier. The amount of content on Reddit about watches is absolutely, people nerd out about it. So yeah, it will be a great talk.
Yeah, that's absolutely essential, particularly with the rise of AI, right? And people asking LLM stuff. They're getting a lot of stuff from Reddit. I can't wait for that one. That's one I've been looking forward to most.
Yeah, and Mairead's a brilliant speaker. So
and also has great trousers, typically.
I know she did. She had a great outfit last time. So thank you so much, John. We've come to the end of our talk. We didn't have any questions, but please do. I mean, it was a very, I don't think you left any questions to be had. It was very thorough. So yeah, if you can come along to our event, 12th of March, if you're watching this past the 12th of March in 2026, don't worry, because they're all available on our website, because they will be recorded. So thank you, John. And I'm excited to see how we can collaborate more in the future, especially
me too.
Solving some of our own HubSpot problems. I'll tap you up on that later.
Thanks, Jaye. It was a real pleasure. Thank you so much.